Okay, Commissioners, the next item is item number 11, application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 622, Lot 48. It's 282 West 4th Street, located within the Greenwich Village Historic District, docket number 162099. Two combined and modified Greek Revival-style row houses built in 1841. The application is to excavate a subcellar level, alter the facades, and construct rooftop additions.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Carly Vaughn with Preservation Staff. This is an application for work at 282 West 4th Street, which is located in the southwest corner of West 4th Street and West 11th Streets. This building was originally two Greek Revival row houses, part of the row of four, which you can see the group here in this photograph. The buildings had the majority of their ornamentation removed when the buildings were combined into a small apartment building prior to 1939. This application has multiple components, including modifications to the basement level entrance on the West 4th Street elevation, the regularization of the window pattern on the rear elevation, which is visible from West 11th Street, the excavation of the subcellar level, and the construction of stair and elevator bulkheads and mechanical equipment with an enclosure. The applicants will discuss the visibility of these elements in their presentation, but this photograph does show the mock-up of the stair and elevator bulkhead. And Annabelle Seldorf will run you through the presentation.
Thank you, Carly.
Hello. Do I do this? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can I sing? All right. Hello. Good afternoon. Thanks for listening to us. We have a rather long presentation for three very small things in a way. You see it all in this delightful photograph of endless winter. You actually see something that we were going to present to you earlier with photographs from the fall, and you wouldn't have seen it. In short, it's the bulkhead that Carly already ably presented, as well as an entrance here and some windows. So I'll just, again, I mean, I started the presentation thinking I would talk about the Greek village townhouses, the Greek Revival townhouses, but in a way that is all relatively unimportant because these buildings have been altered so much. Suffice it to say that we're not proposing a restoration, we're proposing a renovation of an already altered house. Having said that, we're very much keen, and as is our client, to keep the West Village character and really make the building appear as if nothing had happened to it. And here is a street elevation that shows you those other townhouses on the side, on the same street. Here are some tax pictures that show that these alterations have in fact happened a very long time ago. I think in 1929, was it? Yeah. This shows quickly what those entrances would have been at one time, and that the building would have been shorter. It has been extended, it was painted, the doors removed, and these sort of rather odd entrance situation has happened. So what we are proposing is actually accessing the building in a slightly more discreet way with a gate going in a southern direction to reinstate an entrance that is in fact in the face of the building. It seems to me, well, I'll leave the judgment to you, but it seems like a sort of logical alteration that's, sort of takes care of a not so good situation here. This is the design of the doors. The old door is while it looks like it's a nice old door, it's not a nice old door, and we're just proposing to have a slightly simplified entrance door, being that this is the secondary entrance into the building. Here is a photograph of the 11th Street elevation that sort of shows, yeah, in a way it's actually very nice to be able to see this on the model as well. And it shows the sort of unusual conditions of having the house here and a second little adjunct house over here. We're proposing to create a new entrance into the building from 11th Street through this entrance. And here are next to one another. It's a little bit like Please Find Waldo. We're proposing to add a window along here, being that there's going to be a kitchen and it would profit from having extra daylight, and it seemed perfectly congruous with everything else going on and symmetrical to this window over here. You can never really see this facade right now because it's overgrown with ivy, but essentially the facade will stay the same. We're proposing to renew the glazing in here and in fact glazing over the entire what's going to feel like a courtyard. Again, a more detailed elevation of what the door looks like now and what it will look like. We're saying there will be a door handle in the middle of the door as opposed to being on the edge of the door, but nothing else will really be different. This photograph of the side shows that we're asking you to appreciate the wish to change some of the windowsills. Sarah, can you point to which, it's this windowsill and
These,
and
the
these
middle.
two, right? Oh, yeah, and
Those
that's
two,
right.
yeah.
Because these two right now are stair hall windows, and they will be in the future part of a bigger room behind it. So this is what we would like to do. We wanted to insert this plan in the set of drawings simply to demonstrate that the core of the building, the new staircase, is going to be on the southern side of the building, so as to put the slightly increased bulkhead alongside of a much taller building and thereby being less visible. And here's a rendering or a drawing of that stair bulkhead that takes care of an elevator override. The client wishes to live there with his elderly parents and generally thinks it's prudent to have an elevator in the building, which of course it doesn't have now. And this is showing the window into the stair bulkhead, which we designed to be something fairly incongruous and relatively similar to other things that you see in the West Village. We've sort of collected all of the flues in such a way that they become a backdrop to a little roof garden, and stacked air handlers and air conditioning systems in such a way that, I think you can see it in the next drawing, that they are away from the window of the next door neighbor and thereby probably more discreet and less visible from a distance. Here you can also see the staircase in section, and there it is. These are just some pictures of similar windows and stair bulkheads in other buildings. Studio windows, as it were. And again, a drawing of the plan to just illustrate how tall the building is on the side and there. This is also trying to indicate what's going to be a rather long presentation of all of the distant views. If you happen to be walking by on 11th Street and West 4th, you can definitely see both this window and the stair behind, albeit shaded and concealed, I would say, from the building next door. Yeah, it's always hard to see these pictures, but I'm sure you can see the orange fencing there. Here is also a quick diagram that shows you from how far away you can see the window if you so desire, and if that is what you're looking for. And this illustrates, this is the stair window, this is the elevator bulkhead, and this is the chimney, I believe, and this is the mechanical, yeah. Finally, this is an image of something that undoubtedly you'll want to talk about, is we're proposing to excavate an extra basement into the building. And so this is a structural drawing, or structural and geotech drawing, that shows how that is going to be underpinned and supported. And here is a variety of materials, all in keeping with that which you see in the neighborhood, in this existing building, all very low-key. We're proposing to reuse brick where any brick is being, oops, did I do that? How to say yes? Can you tell me how to say yes? No, she wants to say no. Please feel free to ask any questions. The entire idea that fueled the thinking about this project is that it's totally low-key, that it is meant to look like nothing ever happened. And this is the client's desire, our own desire, to sort of really be and blend into the village in that way. I think actually the drawing makes it look much more stately than the building really is. There are very low ceilings in the building. The windows are going to be the same. We're going to paint them white. It's all really very, very simple.
Can I ask what the age is of the small building? Are they different vintages, the little entry building?
To my knowledge, it's not. To my knowledge, they came at the same time. And it's a...
Oh, did it?
But years, not decades. What's interesting about it is that the way it's like a complete rabbit warren underneath. And in some ways, I think that is everyone's regret, of course, is that the sort of community of people who have lived in this building, because it's an artist who lived on this corner, worked in this in this tiny little studio. But I know that they found a really terrific place that they're very happy in now. So,
okay, I just have a couple of questions. So, currently, the front door of the building is...
There are really two.
There are two, okay.
One is here, and the other one is underneath here.
Right, but the idea is to have just one entrance as your main door?
No, we actually want to maintain two entrances.
Okay.
Again,
I guess my question is there a reason, is there a compelling reason to change the door that you have right now? Because that's a very...
reason to
change it, because...
To change this one, or
yeah,
to change that
no,
one?
To
well,
change
the compelling reason is that the way the structure works is that internally there's a bulkhead that creates a very odd head height issue on the second floor.
Okay.
And in order to take care of that, and also in order to kind of slightly regularize what looks like a very odd condition on the facade.
Okay. And my second question, which is a question that this commission always asks, are there ways to make your bulkhead lower in terms of the elevator override? Because I think we just saw another case previously and we asked that same question, and if I remember correctly, I think the overrun, whatever it's called, it was something like 6 feet plus, and I think yours is about 7.5 feet. So I'm just wondering.
It's only 7.5 feet because the elevator cab has a 7-foot head height.
Okay.
we may be able to lower it by inches, but not
But
by
not feet.
No,
You-
we've
You're right now, I think you're right now at approximately 16 feet, including the cab and the portion on top. And you don't think you could bring that down even by
We've actually removed the hoist beam, which was about 18 inches high, and instead of doing a concrete slab with a hook, so that took 18 inches away, and we went from an 8-foot cab to a 7-foot cab, so that reduced it another 2 feet. So we've taken 3.5 feet off. It was originally 19.6.
Okay.
So 16, we made, like Annabelle said, we may be able to take inches away, but to maintain an elevator that can go that number of floors, we have to.
Okay. And I think just the next question, which is related to that, is the condenser units and the screen around that. That's most visible from the side, isn't that correct? I think I've forgotten the street that just 11th Street. Okay, so West 11th Street, you can see that. Have you looked at whether it can be relocated where it just has the least impact within the roof area? Because it seems that location is it seems like it's flexible or fluid. It doesn't have to be there.
That's true. However, there's requirements for the fire department to have access from the front of the building to the rear of the building on both sides.
Okay.
So alternatively, that would mean the condensers would go smack in the middle of the roof terrace, which would be, we think, more visible. So
Okay.
we tucked it as far close to the elevator bulkhead as possible so as to minimize that view. And it will be screened and we plan to grow green around that.
Okay.
To minimize the appearance.
All right. Other questions? Yes, Adi? Question?
It reminds me a little bit of, I just visited Ethem in Stockholm. Is it going to be an inn? A hotel
No,
or a
but it
single?
could be.
But it's not.
No, it actually couldn't be. It's really a sort of rather diminutive house. It's a family house, and yeah. But I agree. I think it sort of looks that way.
All right. Any other questions? Yes, Wellington? Sure.
Where is the subcellar excavation?
It's essentially, it's under this footprint right here.
The entire footprint, the whole thing?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. We'll take public testimony. Barbara Zay?
Barbara Zay of the Historic Districts Council. Sacrificing the roof line of a very important corner in the Greenwich Village Historic District for the convenience of an elevator to the roof seems like a feeble argument. The proposed rooftop additions are very tall, especially the elevator bulkhead. We ask that the applicant consider other ways to access the roof, including either a hydraulic elevator or a limited-use, limited-access elevator, which would take up less room. Also, our committee had concerns about the amount of proposed excavation in such a fragile neighborhood and finds the black and bronze to be an inappropriate material choice for the front door. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any more speakers on this item? Any more speakers? All right. Community Board 2 recommends approval of this application.
My able partners are telling me that I should have brought up one thing for your consideration.
Okay.
And that is that right now, the stucco on the base has a kind of reddish color that's not very attractive because it's not actually brownstone. And so we would like your consideration to make it a sort of slightly lighter, earthier stucco color, which we think is more in keeping with the brick in being just a little bit more contrasty and very simple. And if you can see considering that, we'll work with Carly on working out the right color.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, well, we'll go into discussion. I actually don't have any real issues with this. I think that we've seen rooftop additions in the village many, many times. Very often they replicate the skylight and studio. I think we're seeing more and more the situation where you have bulkheads that by code are required now to have this additional piece above. the elevator and also code requirements to bring elevators to the roof. So it seems like it's one of these realities that we'll be confronted. But I think in this particular case, it seems the architects have looked at where best to place it, and the idea that they've relocated their staircase from its current position to the side and adjacent to a building which is taller, I think was a sensitive and appropriate move in order to have at least the bulkheads all clustered together on one side, and I think the heights of those generally relate.
And against the higher.
Right, exactly. And I think the door I don't have any strong feelings about, and changing the entrance to the other side seems fine as well. Are there concerns or recommendations? Okay, good. So in that case, we can close the hearing. And, yes, good. And Michael's not here, so Wellington, would you like to read that? It's a long one. And just one more issue. Does anybody have any concerns about the applicant working with Carly regarding the tint of the stucco? Any concerns with that? Okay.
But we have a color.
In the matter of 16-2099, 282 West 4th Street, Greenwich Village Historic District, the application is to excavate a subcellar level, alter the facades, and construct rooftop additions. We note that the building style, scale, materials, and details contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Greenwich Village Historic District. I recommend that the Greek Revival ornamentation was removed from the buildings when the row houses was combined into an apartment building, which has resulted in stripped facades. That the proposal includes maintaining the variety of window patterns on the West 11th Street elevation and stucco banding and brickwork, thereby preserving portions of the building's history and its most significant architectural features. That the regulation of the window openings on the rear facade, while visible from the street, will not detract from the building's historic character. That the construction of the proposed rooftop additions will not result in the removal of significant historic fabric. That the proposed stair bulkhead is visible from directly across West 4th Street in conjunction with the primary elevation, but is seen adjacent to plain red brick. Therefore, it does not detract from a significant architectural feature of the building. That the design and the proposed cladding of the stair bulkhead, elevator bulkhead, and mechanical enclosure are consistent with other studio skylight rooftop additions and utilitarian rooftop accretions found within the district. That only 278 West 4th Street retains the row's original massing, and the remainder of the row consists of grandfather and commission-approved rooftop additions or extensions. Therefore, the proposed rooftop additions will not diminish the building's relationship to other buildings in the row. That the proposed rooftop additions are highly visible for limited viewpoints from the north on West 4th Street and the west on West 11th Street. However, they are visible against the presence of the larger rooftop and rear additions on 280 West 4th Street, which minimizes their visual impact within the streetscape. That leveling out the stucco base of the building on West 4th Street elevation will not remove a significant feature of the 20th century conversion and will no longer crowd the parlor floor window above. That aligning the entrance with the front plane of the facade and removal of the basement entrance steps will not diminish the composition of the West 4th Street facade. That the proposed side access, entrance steps, and gate modifications will not alter the building's relationship with the narrow sunken areaway, which is a typical condition found within the district. That the excavation of the subcellar will be done in compliance with the Department of Buildings regulations under the supervision of a licensed professional engineer or registered architect to protect the building's facade and the adjacent buildings. That the proposed black paint for the replacement windows, while not in keeping with the building's original design construction date, is in keeping with the paint colors often found on this altered building type. However,
That's it. Black.
Black windows, okay. that the proposed resurfacing of the brownstone tinted stucco with gray tinted stucco is not in keeping with the color and materials palette of this primary 19th century residential district.
I think that
Yes.
it was just, we can disregard that last comment, and we'll just recommend
Yes.
approval.
Okay,
And we'll
okay,
work with
so-
them on the.
Therefore,
You can-
okay, I'll just,
Just say,
okay. I recommend that the West 4th Street entrance and side lights be,
I think take that, I think just say that, recommend that the applicants work with staff to assess the proper tinting for the stucco at the base.
exactly as she said.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This application has been approved.
Okay.